Alright, so in this video what we will be doing is we will gather system related information as well as kernel related information. If you are new here, let me give you some context. This is basically the ongoing part of mini series on manual enumeration of Linux for privilege escalation. So we have already covered how do we gather user context related information as well as host name and how it can help us what the server might be about. And this specific video will be about enumerating operating system and kernel information. So as you can see on the screen, I have already made that this guide, but it was like kind of short and like some terms were not explained enough, and I was getting confused. So I just made a detailed version of that and ask the cloud to explain me some of the terminologies as well. So the operating system, the Windows, Mac OS or Linux, and then we have the Linux. Let's just skip this, but I was confused over here, the Unix, BSD, and Linux. So these are like kind of different operating system. You can see one other than the Windows and Mac OS. Like we do know about the Linux, but I have never heard about the BSD or Unix. So we need to understand this because we will be seeing when we gathering information related to the operating system. Like for example, if I show you over here, you can see I guess the Debian previous and the version as well as the architecture and these detail as well. So that's why I'm going to study these Unix, BSD and Linux. We need to understand these because commands, file path and exploit are different for these operating system. So this is just example. An exploit written for Linux won't work for BSD or Unix. It should have its own exploit. It should have its own file system and commands and file path and their internal stuff. So you can see right here we have actually different operating system Unix made on this, and we also have the BSD, Linux, Windows NT. Let's just not discuss these. And we also have the new generation operating system, which I have never heard honestly. And let's just see the Unix. So Unix, what is that? So it was made in 1969, and okay, so it was made by these guy, and it was like kind of first Linux I should say, but it's not Linux actually. You can see right here, I guess the Unix is, as I said, operating system. It was designed for one purpose, letting multiple people use one powerful computer at the same time. Okay, so back in the 1960s, computer were enormous room size machine that cost millions of dollars. Yeah, I have seen videos on YouTube that they were just transporting those big computer in big trucks and stuff. So a university or company would own just one, and those dozen of scientists or engineers needed to use it simultaneously. So they just made the Unix, and for this only reason they made the Unix, to like multiple user use the computer, that big giant computer at the same time. So it's like very old now, and you won't see in the modern system. And now what BSD is, this is also operating system, as you can see, and I have saw over here that student at this university got access to the original Unix recipe or the like its source through the university. Some student for at this university and they got the original source of the Unix. What they did is they studied the sources, improved it and added their own ideas and features, and eventually what happened is that they took the idea from that study, the source, and they made their own operating system called BSD. So it's just like the Unix but improved version of that. And over here it just said that BSD has its own like version kind of. One is FreeBSD, another is OpenBSD, NetBSD, Mac OS. You can see I guess. So I have more information about the BSD over here. Yeah, so they just took the idea of the Unix stable multiple user using the same computer at once and refined it over a decade. So they just spent decades and made their own BSD operating system. Okay, so the free BSD one is like what the also the Netflix infrastructure uses. So it just gave me example when we stream a movie on Netflix, some of its server, the Netflix infrastructure uses the BSD FreeBSD operating system, and for the firewall related stuff as well. And this one is like kind of interesting for me, your Apple devices. So I just saw about that. The Apple is basically the FreeBSD, but they just gave the pretty or beautiful interfaces to the Apple devices, and they just call it Mac OS. You can see right here, Apple took FreeBSD, added beautiful interface on top, and called it Mac operating system. So your iPhone and Mac are secretly BSD underneath. And then we have the Linux. So I'm just gonna go here, and so a student from Finland named this guy was frustrated that good operating system were either too expensive like the Unix, or too limited like having limited features. So this is amazing because he did not took any of the code from Unix or BSD. Instead, he just sat down and made completely new operating system, which is what we know Linux today. So he just got the idea from Unix and BSD, but he just made its own operating system. And the good thing is, this guy is legend because he just made it completely free and let anyone to improve it. He could have made the source code of the Linux private and made bunch of money, but instead he just made it free and gave it to the world for free. And you can see, just because of this guy, today most of the website and server uses the Linux, as well as the Android phone run Linux underneath, and the smart TV router and even some car run Linux. That's interesting. So if I scroll down again, you can see a bit more detail. The biggest strength of the Linux was anyone can take that, modify it, and use it for any purpose without paying anyone. So that was the biggest thing ever. And since it open source and Flood is saying almost 96% of the world web server run Linux. Okay, that's cool. And also the Android phone, supercomputer, cloud computing, the Amazon AWS cloud, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, and these infrastructure cloud computing thing, as well as in the cyber security, hacking related field, and smart TV. Oh, and also the space related thing, the Mars rover, and the, I don't know what this is, but they just whatever, this is something related to the Mars. They also use the Linux operating system. I think I should just Google this and see what this is. Okay, it's helicopter made by the NASA to go to the Mars. Interestingly completed 72 flight. That's interesting. I think we are done with the Unix, BSD, and the Linux. Now it just make a bit more sense. So because we studied that these are different operating systems, so they might have different commands and file paths and file management system, and different, like if you write exploit for that Linux, it won't for this or either this. So you have to see what operating system it is running. Okay, so I think we are done with learning about those different operating system. Now what we will do next is I'm thinking to just end this video, and in the next video I continue this video and talk about the architecture. Like we do have different kind of architecture, and why do we need to understand them. I know you may be thinking this is like outside the topic and not relevant to the topic about the gathering information of system and kernel related. So I know this seems irrelevant, but the thing is we need to understand these, so then it will help us to understand the system and the kernel related information, because we will be seeing the same information. So once you watch this video, head over to the next video. I will be naming it like something architecture or something like that. Okay, so I will see you in the architecture video. Have a good day.